So, shall we begin, as we always do, with our story of the week?
Yeah, my story of the week is I've written it down, but I don't need it actually. It's Bella, the English Springer Spaniel who was stolen from Nottingham and turned up in Bristol. Right now, it's not so much the story; it's the fact that this was on the front of the BBC webpage. A dog that was stolen and was found 30 miles away. Is that news?
Oh, lordy. And, we had our conference last weekend, and great speeches over 2 full days, reduced to 2 hours on the BBC, cut and pasted, a little bit from Kirsty Williams, the party leader, a little bit from Tim Farron, the party leader at the federal level, an interview with a couple of candidates standing, and then lots of commentary from everybody at the BBC talking about how hopeless things are going to be. And you think to yourself, why did they bother? Because they did all this live broadcast and taped every moment of everything, and they cut, in essence, 2 full days down to 2 hours. So I'm not surprised that the dog went away.
Don't talk to me about cut and pasting, right? The Western Mail, which is the national newspaper of Wales, and I'll come off that in a minute, did a story which bore a striking resemblance to a Sunday Times business piece, right? 2 or 3 of the sentences were identical, even down, right, to a piece where it said, "Our sources." So is it the same sources?
Yeah, the state of journalism, and yet you've got Trinity Mirror cutting another £10 million out of reporting so they can do clickbait. But we'll talk about that in the B block when we get to the Western Mail and everything else that's going there. My story has to do with a man by the name of Wallace Aluwalia. He tried to board a plane in Mexico City for New York Monday, and he's a member of the Sikh tradition. Now, the Sikhs are known for beards and for turbans, and they never remove those. They're considered sacred. They're considered a part of their religious history. So he was asked to take his turban off, and he refused. In the past, he was asked to run his hands over the turban, and then the TSA would conduct chemical residue tests, and that was sufficient. They told him to remove his turban. He refused. He spent 2 days in Mexico City airport.
He told him to take his turban off.
Now this guy's a famous actor. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in the Canadian Screen Awards for Beaver Boys. He also had huge roles in Wes Anderson's The Darjeeling Limited, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Spike Lee's Inside Man. So he's a very well-known actor, and he also has a jewelry line called the House of Horus. So we're talking about a fairly significant person. Well, they finally apologized because that was what he was waiting for. But he spent 2 days in Mexico City airport trying to get out of the country. The Sikh coalition which documents incidents in which Sikh men have encountered bigotry and suspicion because of their distinctive appearance. And he said he would have been willing to remove it in a private room, but he was told none was available. And so it's a symbol of my faith. It's something I wear whenever I'm in public, and it's just another example of bigotry and misunderstanding and hatred. Last week I was on Ahmed Tharwat's program. We've had Ahmed on our show.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we did a 30-minute piece on a variety of topics because it's the 5th anniversary of the. Well, today actually, we're taping on Thursday the 11th, is the 5th anniversary of the fall of Mubarak. So, of course, the revolution lasted for 18 days, but he fell on February the 11th, even though our show says February the 12th. So I just really have some issues with the level of bigotry because somebody looks different. I've faced that in my life, and I'm sure others will, and it's just not right. And we'll talk about that as we go forward with some of the campaign.
Yeah, that Sikh thing, that reminds me of there was a big fuss in the 70s when the law was for motorcyclists to wear crash helmets.
Yeah.
And so the police pulled over a Sikh because of his turban, you see, and because he couldn't put a crash helmet on his turban. So this was a big fuss then
Yeah.
in all the news and so on, and you just think, can't they have some kind of common sense about these sorts of things?
Or don't they have anything more important to do?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Actually, on the subject of anniversaries, this month, a few weeks ago, was the anniversary of black guys going into Woolworths and sitting down in 1961 in the South of America
the lunch counter.
at the lunch counter and saying, "I want to be served."
Wow.
And there are no blacks allowed then at that lunch counter, and that sparked everything. I mean, these guys to me are heroes. There should be statues to them because they suffered terrible violence, awful violence.
There is in the Smithsonian Institution, the Museum of American History, there is a full-scale replica of the lunch counter with them sitting there with wax figurines and everything. It's truly, truly amazing. But well, since we're talking about anniversaries, 9 years ago today, Barack Obama, a senator from the state of Illinois, stood on the frigid steps of the Capitol in Springfield and announced he was going to be running for the presidency.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that's not something that Hillary Clinton remembers.
Well, Hillary Clinton remembers.
Well, she does remember.
She does.
Mention it.
She remembers a day 8 years ago today, which is when she fired her campaign manager after poor showings in the initial and brought somebody else in. So I don't know whether 8 years on life will imitate art or art will imitate life, because we'll talk about the presidential campaign in just a short bit. But I found those two to be quite interesting.